Good morning, good day, everyone, and waiting for 7 o'clock to start. I just delight in seeing all the greetings and the locations you greeting from, and it's very heartwarming to come together this way. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being part of it. So, I think of honesty as mindfulness out loud. When we speak honestly, we're practicing mindfulness out loud. When we speak honesty to ourselves, then we are practicing mindfulness. That the ability to sit and be mindful of what's happening with us, what's happening in our experience, is a movement of saying as honestly as we can, recognizing as honestly as we can what is happening here. And certainly many of the times what we're aware of wouldn't necessarily be something you felt you had to be honest about in the conventional way. Like just recognizing the sensations of your breathing. But there are times when what we sit with and meet and really practice with in meditation practice is difficult truths about ourselves, and to have a kind of self-honesty. And there's something very freeing about honesty and speaking the truth, if we can do it kindly, if we can do it in a way that really focuses on how to be honest beneficially. And so just think of meditation as sitting down to kindly and beneficially recognize what's really happening here for us, and to breathe with that, to open to it, to hold it in the palms of awareness. And not much needs to happen. The power of truth is really powerful. And so the power of honesty, the power of just being with what is in a clear way. Clear means really recognize it, but not be in conflict with it, and not necessarily try to fix it. Here, to be present to this in an honest way, simple way. And finally, I think of this kind of self-honesty as coming home to a simplicity of being. The complexity of being is when we're struggling with what is true and what is happening here. And at the heart, mindfulness brings us to a simplicity of being at this truthful center of all things. So, to take this meditation practice, to take your seat for meditation. That expression is sometimes used metaphorically, symbolically. It doesn't matter what posture you're in. But to take the seat is replicating in your way the Buddha taking his seat under the Bodhi tree. To take the seat where you will be true, where you will recognize the truth in a dignified and noble, maybe even a devoted way, to sit here in the midst of what's true. And to close your eyes and settling in, taking some long, slow, deep breaths, breaths that are relaxed and easeful, only deep breathing as deeply as is comfortable for you, and only exhaling a little longer than usual, as far as is comfortable enough for you. Letting that longer exhale be just the right length that at the end of the exhale you can pause before taking in the next deep in-breath. Perhaps also an ever so slight pause or a slowing down at the top of the in-breath. So there's more intentionality and awareness that goes into the breath. A definitive connection. And then as you exhale, relax your body. Relax into this moment as if this body at this time is a place you can deeply trust. Trusting yourself as you let go of your exhale. Releasing the body, settling into what is true here for you. And then to let your breathing return to normal. And as you exhale, continuing to relax and soften in your body, releasing the holdings in different parts of your body, face, the chest, the shoulders, the belly. Maybe even releasing any tension in your arms and hands. And then for a few moments here now, not doing much, just sitting here, looking around within, and recognizing what is true right now for you. What is true about your body? What is really going on for you with your emotions, your mood? And what is it that is preoccupying your mind and your thoughts, if anything? What is really happening for you here if you look around and really feel in, and maybe even feel deeply into yourself? Feeling into the truth of yourself, what's really happening here, as if that's a doorway for continued letting go, release. Not abandoning anything, but the release that allows you to settle in more deeply to what's happening without reacting or fixing or pulling back or getting caught up in thoughts about it. Saying the truth to yourself as a way of coming home, coming settled. Recognizing what's happening as a way of moving towards more ease and peace with what is, without conflict, without shoulds and shouldn'ts. And in a certain way for these few moments here, without concern about the past and the future. Just the truth, just the experience of now. trusting that it's enough just to know and be honest about what is now. The future we don't know. And then becoming attuned in the middle of it all to your body breathing. In whatever way is most comfortable for you, or most comfortable for your body, to experience the rhythm of breathing in and breathing out. Maybe as if the breathing is what keeps you close to what's happening without thinking about it or pulling away, maybe even breathing through what's happening in the present moment. As if breathing is at the center of what is most true for you. As if the breathing is a caring, compassionate, kind contact with what is true. Nothing is a problem. It's just something to recognize. And meet it, recognize it with kindness and care, quiet, trusting that being truthful, being with what's true, is enough. It's enough to allow the power of truth to do its own work as we stay here now in the present, breathing in the midst of it all. The future is an imagination. The past is a memory. What's happening outside of wherever you're sitting, other places, is also unknown as an imagination, is maybe an anxiety or a worry. But it's a kind of imaginary, it's kind of a virtual reality of the mind. We don't really know the future or what's happening far away. What we can the most reliably know is what's happening here in our direct experience. And to do so makes all the difference. This here, to be truthful with direct experience, is the way to freedom. with a quiet mind, however quiet or calm it might be, or that you can allow it to be for a few moments. What is most true for you? What is it that's really going on for you from the depths of your being? What's most important for you? And what relationship is there between really recognizing what's happening in the moment in your direct experience and allowing a simplicity of being in relationship to that? Not needing to do anything or fix anything. Just the simple knowing this is how it is. And maybe as we come to the end of this sitting, maybe there's some valuable way in which you're being truthful and being yourself can be the basis for a richer, more honest meeting, connection to other people, without leaning forward into people or pulling away, but offering a kind of fullness of yourself, to be present, to listen, to witness, to be with others, whether it's in person or through some device of communication, or other ways in which other people come into our consciousness, maybe the news. And to listen and witness, recognizing that others have a depth inside as well. They also, if they were really truthful, if they're really connected to the depth of their being, their simplicity of being, you would probably naturally be kind and supportive and have compassion. You would naturally meet them in their humanity. May it be that as we come out of this meditation, that we have the presence of mind, of heart, to recognize the fullness, the full humanity of others, and to wish them well, to care for their well-being, and to see what we can do for those that are near and far, that is supportive for them, supportive for their happiness and well-being and safety. May it be that in a way that's in harmony with the ease and freedom of the Dharma, of meditation, of mindfulness, that we live for the welfare and happiness of all beings. May all beings be happy. May all beings be safe. And may all beings be free. So today I begin the third factor of the Eightfold Path, and this is right speech. And this is the first factor of the path which has to do with our actions in the world, in this case, actions of speech. The first two are establishing the wisdom, the orientation, the consideration of how we're going to live in the world. And the next three are very much about then what we do, how we manifest and express the wisdom in our lives. And I think of these next three, right speech, right action, and right way of living, right lifestyle maybe, to really be in some ways, they're the center of the Eightfold Path, and maybe the center of gravity, maybe the heart of them, maybe that how we act, how we live in the world is so important. And there is a spiral in this that through the Eightfold Path that we have wisdom. Wisdom supports us in how we live and act in the world. That in turn supports the deepening of our inner life, which is the last three factors of the Eightfold Path. As we deepen our inner life, we have more wisdom for acting in the world. So it's a kind of a circle or spiral, and we don't have to start any particular place, but there is a way in which understanding is seen as the beginning, because with understanding something naturally follows. So the first two factors of the Eightfold Path lead to an interest, a desire, and a valuing of how we speak. And most of our contact with other people, the way we interact with other people, for most people, one way or the other happens through speech. Through speech, direct speech, we talk to them, to means of communication, or how we talk to ourselves about other people. So even our thoughts are a kind of speech. And so to have right speech, and the idea here is not to do it because of a moral code that says you shall do this, have right speech, but to really understand closely how it arises out of the first two factors. That there's a real appreciation for what is wholesome or healthy or nourishing or beneficial, and then to feel, to consider that and to orient around that and to have an intention around that, to want to do that, to manifest it. Partly because to not do that is more suffering, is unhelpful, is debilitating. And so to really feel and sense, well, this is the wholesome direction. And also to have a feeling, to really recognize for oneself the ways in which we lose our freedom, we get caught and entangled and constricted, and what leads to more freedom. And so having this as the background, we come to speech. And so what speech is wholesome, is nourishing, is supportive, and what speech is freeing, what speech keeps us free or keeps opening the doors for freedom, and what speech constricts us, gets us caught, preoccupied, is the opposite of freeing. What speech is unwholesome, is denourishing. So and this is why mindfulness is so helpful with this, is that the stronger the mindful sensitivity is, the more we can recognize the consequences of how we speak. It's not easy to be mindful of speaking. We often get caught up in our speech and are just so lost in what we're saying or want to say or the flow of the conversation. And it's easy to say things that later we regret. But to learn how to practice mindfulness of speaking, to stay in our body, be aware of what's going on in our body, of our thoughts, our impulses, or the emotions that are coming into play, is really a powerful place for mindfulness. And it's well worth learning that skill, developing that capacity. And the greater the sensitivity is to this world of speech, the easier or more natural, in a sense, or more obvious it is to be concerned with those ways of speaking which are beneficial, that lead to benefit, to happiness, to well-being, and to avoid those ways of speaking which are detrimental to ourselves and to others, that constrict us and limit us. And so there are 4 forms of right speech that the Buddha talks about in this regard. There is speaking what is true, speaking actually it's usually said in the negative, not speaking falsehoods, not speaking divisively, not speaking harshly, and not speaking pointlessly. So each of these will be explained over these days. But there's ways in which speaking falsely, divisively, sometimes it's called slander, harshly, hurtfully, and pointlessly, it diminishes ourselves or diminishes others or brings suffering, brings what's unwholesome. And to do the opposite, to speak the truth, and that's a topic for today. So I just want to focus more on the truth thing. That for mindfulness practitioners, truth is really a precious or important or valued action. Because mindfulness and truth are synonymous. That mindfulness is the act of being truthful about our experience to ourselves. When we do mental noting, just recognize, oh, this is what's happening, this is what's happening. It might not seem as so consequential what we're recognizing that we call it truth. But as the practice deepens and deepens, we'll come to layers of our being where, wow, I have to admit this or acknowledge this and see that this is true too. And some of that might be difficult things to see, painful. And some of the things that we discover as true might be some really wonderful parts of ourselves, our beauty. And this is one of the great delights of settling deep into meditation, is to discover inner capacities of wonder, of beauty, of value, of goodness, that might not have been recognized so clearly early in our lives, and or felt as fully as what it is. And to recognize the truth of this goodness within us is as important, maybe more important, than recognizing the truth of what's the opposite happening with us. But recognizing the truth is a big part of what mindfulness is. And so speaking truth out loud I call honesty, to be able to speak the truth, and in such a way that has the same beneficial impact, consequences, as telling the truth to ourselves. And for that purpose, the Buddha gives three different qualities that should go along with speaking the truth. He says that it should be kind, it should be beneficial, and it should be timely. We only speak the truth if it's timely to do so, and if it's beneficial, and if it's kind. Because we want the truth to be spoken in ways that free people from suffering, that don't cause more suffering, don't cause harm. And truth itself can be a weapon. Truth can be used painfully. So the fact that something is true doesn't mean that we're speaking kindly or supportively, or could be we're causing a lot of pain. So speaking the truth goes along with the consideration, which has to do with the second factor of the Eightfold Path, the consideration of non-ill will and non-cruelty. So that's often translated as kindly, with kindness or loving kindness, friendliness, and with compassion and care. And so to speak the truth when it's the helpful thing to do, and it's the right time, so people can hear it. We think it's helpful, but it's not helpful in the middle of someone's big crisis about something else. You want to come and tell them about your difficulty with them. You wait for the right time. And you also try to do the inner work to put aside, have worked through on your own any hostility you have, or any ways in which you're triggered to be hostile or upset, or so the communication is not clear and direct and to the point. So mindfulness is we're doing our inner work, not to deny or repress anything, but so that when we talk this truth, we can be a clear channel for really the communication to be there in a way that's productive for all parties involved, self and others. It seems that speaking the truth, knowing the truth, being connected to what's true, being honest, is probably one of the most valuable resources we have, most kind of wealth that we have. It's more important than how much money you have. It's more important than how intelligent you are. It's more important than who you know. It's more important than what recreational opportunities you have. It's more important than just so many things that people are pursuing. It's for the purposes of really growing, maturing as a human being, for really maturing on the path of freedom, the Buddhist path. It's being honest, which is the way forward. And this is what's important, not money or smarts or people that you know or status or pleasures or all these other things which don't have the same power as the power of truth. So to discover how to be truthful to oneself and to others in ways that are freeing, ways that are kind and friendly, ways that are beneficial, nourishing, wholesome, and ways that are timely, knowing the right time. These are wonderful ways of considering what we're speaking, and part of mindfulness of speech is to be considered in our speech, to give some reflection in what we're saying and when we're saying it. And so this Buddhist path is a path of a considered path, a path of consideration, a path of reflection, a path of contemplation, starting with the right view, and then the second factor, right consideration. And then now, with all that view, the right view and right consideration goes into considering how we speak, so that we can speak in ways that benefit the world. We can speak in ways that benefit self and others. We can speak in ways that are freeing and supportive and inspiring and meaningful. And for today, for the next 24 hours, until we meet again, to talk about the second factor of right speech, avoiding divisive speech, maybe you can spend the day really reflecting on this idea of truth, and being true, and how it works, and what your own personal relationship to it is, and your beliefs around it, and your experiences of it, both difficult and also wonderful experiences. Maybe talk to friends about your relationship and your experience of truth and truth-telling, and maybe ask them what they've learned in their life about that. Maybe today can be a day that you spend more time reflecting and thinking about and talking about and learning about the value of truth than who happens to be elected as president. Both are important, but maybe the topic of truth in the long term is much more. So, may you enjoy the subject of truthfulness. Thank you.